What is up, my fellow nerds? Welcome to Tales of Nerdia. Today we are talking about Chapter 358 of Hunter x Hunter. This is a bit of a slowdown from the past 6 or 7 chapters where we had Hisoka versus Chrollo. A lot of dialogue here, but we're going to go ahead and sift through it, see what we can find to talk about. The layout of this ship is going to be very important, and already there is chaos in the lower floors of the ship. So, let's go. So the time has come. We did get a bit of a time skip after the Hisoka and Chrollo fight, and we are on our way to the Dark Continent, which I'm sure for a lot of you guys, including myself, is a relief. I am happy that we didn't have any more preparation to sift through. Now we're on our way. One of the important things to talk about right off the bat is the layout of this ship. I'm sure a lot of people noticed the first floor is an actual cruise ship on top of this giant whale ship. So it seems like if you didn't remember, the purpose of this journey right now is actually to go to the new continent, which is a small continent right outside of the Dark Continent. So a lot of these passengers and just the general public, they're going to be transported to the new continent to colonize it. After that is where we go to the Dark Continent. So right now we're on our way to the new continent, and it seems like the whale ship will be used for that, and maybe the first floor, which is that cruise ship, is what will be going to the Dark Continent. That's just my thoughts on it, or it could be used for some escape plan. But really, I think that's going to be used to get to the Dark Continent after arriving at the new continent. Next is some more important pieces about the layout of this ship. All of the royal family, the 14 princes, and the king, including their bodyguards, are going to be on the first floor. Second floor is just VIPs, celebrities, or any guests that came along with the princes. And this is where the battle for succession of the crown will be at. So it's just first and second floors. Then we have the third, fourth, and fifth floors, which is pretty much the general public. There's also this barrier between the second and third floors. They said it's a very thick wall. There's one entrance to go up to the second floor or down to the third floor, and it's being guarded by royal guards of the Kaken family. So this is going to come into play eventually. I'm sure there's going to be some siege to either get to the second floor or get below it. Kurapika does mention later that he has an escape route planned for the 14th prince and his mother to get down into the lower floors if things happen to get really bad. So that's not his plan right off the bat. That's just an escape route in case of an emergency. And in fact, it's very similar between the other floors and the hallways. Everything is very heavily guarded, and there's monitoring systems set into place so that pretty much nothing is going unmonitored. So far, we have 2 important pieces about the layout of this ship. The first one being that there's a cruise ship for the first floor, and then the second is just how heavily guarded everything is, specifically the second and third floor entranceway. Next, we actually do see the layout of the first floor, so we have the king's room. Right next to him is the banquet hall, and then next to that is where all the princes will be staying. So between the king and the princes is this kind of banquet reception hall, and we find out that every Sunday the princes will meet with their guests in that reception hall, but it is planned that no prince will ever cross another prince's path. This is also another piece of information that's very important. This is the chance for an assassination, but things are heavily guarded, so Kurapika points out that, even with all of these things set in place, all of these securities, when it comes to someone with Nen abilities, really anything is possible, is the words that Kurapika uses, or nothing is impossible. So in order for some sort of assassination, or really any action to take place, there's going to need to be a lot of sneaking around, a lot of covert action, and some stealth being used, and this is all going to be by the Nen users. So at this point, those are pretty much the 3 major things I wanted to point out about the layout of this ship. Now I want to move over to Kurapika. So he is protecting the mother of the 14th prince, Woble, And in an earlier video, I was confused at how to say that, but I did look up the katakana, so it is Wabaru. So we're gonna go with Woble. So anyways, Kurapika, right? So we see a lot of internal monologue, dialogue from Kurapika, which I'm sure is boring for a lot of people, but there are some important things here, and one of those being that there were some temporary hunters. Now, these hunters don't have all of the abilities, and I don't mean that in the sense of Nen, I just mean the benefits would be a better word, of a full hunter. So the second bylaw is the translation I read, how it was said, or you could say that as the second commandment of the Hunter Association was kind of bent or modified a little bit to allow more temporary hunters. And the association in charge of hiring a lot of people for this Dark Continent voyage, getting bodyguards there and security. Apparently they did a crappy job, and Kurapika is pretty much suspicious of everyone, including, it seems like, his immediate surrounding security. So he thinks to himself that I need to find out about the enemy's power. How do we stand up? How do we, the 14th Prince's guards, stand up compared to them? So he's going to need to do a little bit of recon there. So at this point, Kurapika is suspicious of pretty much anybody. So before we get to Kurapika's discussion with Mizai, there's one little piece of dialogue where Kurapika basically says that he was in contact with the 4th Prince, or pretty much passed by him, I believe is what this means. But he did get to see the 4th Prince, which was surprising to me because I thought that he would react, his eyes would go red and he would react with anger because he knows he has the Kurta eyes. But it seems that he's a little more calm than I had predicted. And he sensed a lot of bloodlust, or he sensed, the blood of just a awful war of succession going on. But then he says, or maybe that was just me being nervous, but really I doubt that. I don't see Kurapika really as the nervous type, so that was strange for me to read. So now let's go to his conversation with Mizai. Now we learn how much chaos already. We haven't even departed yet. We're still just boarding the ship, really. So right now, there's already chaos going on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors. And this is also because of the lack of preparation on the Dark Continent Committee or the Kakin family. They didn't hire enough medical staff. So now already the Zodiac are kind of split up. So Mizai and Botobai are in the lower floors. And apparently there was supposed to be a meeting with them, all of the Zodiac, before they depart. And Kurapika believes that this is going to be canceled now. Wonder what that meeting was. Was it some extra planning, or were they going to discuss the layout of the ship? How they were going to keep an eye on Beyond Netero? But that meeting's not going to happen anymore. And because of the small amount of medical staff, Cheadle may have to go into the lower floors, as well as Leorio. She promised to train Leorio, and this would be the perfect opportunity because there's not enough medical staff. Whereas on the 1st and 2nd floors, apparently there is. So that is upsetting Mizai. So this part is probably the most interesting bit of this chapter, besides the final page, but there is, in the translation I read, it says, some criminal ring is causing people's tickets to be rendered invalid, due to that person apparently already being on board. My immediate thought was Hisoka because of texture surprise, so clearly he could counterfeit a ticket and get on board. He could also disguise his face to look like somebody else. But they said it's a group of people, so obviously the next train of thought led to the Phantom Troupe getting on board. And immediately I can't think of anyone who has that ability to really counterfeit tickets. You could use Gallery Fake for that, but Cortopi is dead, and I doubt that his ability, his Nen, lived on in Crollo's book. Same thing with Shalnark. At the point of their death, they probably didn't have too much time to think about it and, maybe command their Nen in a similar way to Hisoka, unless that their passion to protect Crollo was strong enough, but really I don't think that's what they were thinking at the time. So it is doubtful that Cortopi's ability is still usable by Crollo. However, last chapter when Hisoka said 10 more to go, if you include Crollo, there's only 9 members that we know of, so there could be one extra. If you don't include Crollo and you think Hisoka was only talking about the legs, that means that there's definitely 2 more members. So we would have 10. So it's possible that that one, or if maybe there's 2 already, that one of those 2 members has an ability that helped them get on board. Or even in Crollo's book, he may have a similar ability to Gallery Fake, or the technicalities of the ability are a little different, but that's how they snuck on board. So my bet is that this is the Phantom Troupe, but the third possibility besides Hisoka and the Phantom Troupe would be that this is Beyond's team of specialists, because we don't know really any of their abilities, and any of them could have gotten on board, could have used disguises. The possibilities are endless because we have so many Nen users that are all specialists. And with the help of, don't forget, Sayu, who is believed to be the spy for their group right now, could have helped them get on board. Then again, it's possible that all 3 got on board: Hisoka, Phantom Troupe, and Beyond's team of specialists. Beyond's team of specialists, it could be that they have another method to get to the Dark Continent or to get to the New Continent and to meet up with Beyond, but I believe that this would be the easiest path to take, is to get on board this ship. And because of the lackadaisical preparation by the Kaken family and by the Dark Continent Committee, the V5, it's totally reasonable that all of these parties got on board this ship. And chaos is already breaking out. The Zodiac have been separated. I mean, this would be the perfect chance to take out one of the Zodiac if the Phantom Troupe has that in mind. I really don't think that Beyond's team would do that, and Jing would probably try to stop them. Periston, I'm sure, could care less, but I don't think Jing really wants any harm to come to the Zodiac. But now that Mizai and Botobai are kind of just down in the lower floors with the Phantom Troupe running around, or Hisoka running around, this is a total possibility that we may see the death of one of those 2 right off the bat. Now, Mizai has played a big role, so I don't think it would be him. If anyone, it would be Botobai, but we're going to have to see. You know, this chapter in and of itself was not very exciting, but it gave us a lot to think about on what could possibly happen due to all of this chaos. Kurapika may use this timing. He does say that himself. I could use the timing of this chaos to ... We don't really know. Maybe just gather information like he was talking about earlier. So Kurapika tells Woble's mom that you need to be prepared in case of an emergency. Here are some of the things that I've thought about, possible escape routes, and here's the information that I need you to learn. Learn where all the safety rafts are, how to use them, things like that. And he doesn't put it very delicately. He basically tells her that, you know, knowledge is going to help you survive, so here's what I need you to learn. And this actually freaks her out a little bit, which is surprising to me. I didn't think that she had this type of personality that she would get scared so easily, but apparently, you know, she was pretty confident before, and the method she used to get Kurapika to her, you know, almost pretending to be another one of the princes, was pretty clever. So to see her act this way was a bit of a shock to me. So Kurapika suggests that she go rest, and while she does, he's going to make some preparations and get all the materials. So he orders kind of the other bodyguards there, I believe those are some of the temporary hunters, to take her to her sleeping chambers. He makes a call to the systems control room, whatever, and all of a sudden, Wobble's sacred beast, his Nen beast, starts to awaken. And you don't really see a reaction from anyone else, so these bodyguards or temporary hunters clearly can't see Nen, and I don't believe that Wobble's mom actually told Kurapika about this sacred beast, or this Nen beast, that is supposed to protect Wobble. So he is totally shocked, totally caught off guard by this. Turns around and he sees just the Nen starting to form, and he's like, what's wrong? And I am stoked for the next chapter. I want to see what this Nen beast looks like. You know, it reacted, I feel like it didn't react to Wobble himself, it reacted to his mom. So this Nen beast starts to awaken. I don't know what it's going to look like. That's really what I'm curious about, because the only one we've seen so far is a giant titty monster with a vagina for a face. Unless, of course, we're talking about the Yu Yu Hakusho sacred beast, my boy Pooh. Very similar concept there. because it starts off as an egg and it has to grow from within. So now this beast is finally unleashed, and the final words we get in the chapter are, "and it's set in motion." Even though that this is a very dialogue-heavy chapter, there is still a lot of pieces, a lot of moving pieces going on here. A lot of chaos. And of course, we didn't even see Kurapika's team. You know, they kind of infiltrated and became bodyguards for the other princes, but really, they are kind of working for Kurapika there. So that's all I got for you guys this week. I hope you enjoyed the chapter, even though it was a bit of a slowdown from the previous ones that we've been reading. But I do have a few questions for you. Go ahead and comment below. What do you think is going on in those lower floors? Who's causing all that chaos? What's going on the first floor? Why is it shaped like a cruise ship? What do you think is going to happen with that? And finally, what other anime or manga would you like to see me do reactions to? Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. I believe is somewhere down over here. And I will see you guys very soon. Bye.